If you go back to that story is very similar to a story that's in the Epic of Gilgamesh. And most likely what that story is about, the Great Flood seems to very much be real. Very much be real. And there's a lot of physical evidence, and there's a gentleman named Randall Carlson who's been on my podcast. Have you ever seen any of those episodes?
No,
He's been on my podcast many times. He's an expert in asteroid collisions. And this time in history where after this time, there's all these stories of floods. It aligns directly with this thing called the Younger Dryas and the Younger Dryas impact theory. The Younger Dryas is a time period around 11,800 years ago where they think the Earth got hit by comets. And they think civilization got basically wiped out. And it makes sense. Because first of all, it makes sense physically. So sorry if people have heard this before. I beat this fucking horse to death. But there's a lot of evidence when they do core samples on the Earth. At that time period, there's a high level of iridium, which is very rare on Earth, but very common in space. And there's also nanodiamonds, which occur when there's an impact, when something hits. And this is all over the world.
I 100% believe in this. But every time I hear nanodiamonds,
what do you think? What do you think when you hear nano?
It seems like you're selling jewelry in the middle of the mall. Hey, buddy.
Well, these aren't diamonds. These are nanodiamonds.
These are nanodiamonds. They different. But yes, I believe that the Earth has been hit by comets. We in a space. How can you not?
There's evidence.
It's evidence.
There's tons of evidence. There's tons of evidence. They found was it Greenland or Iceland, that massive impact that they found? The Earth's been hit so many times, man. It wasn't just the Yucatan one that killed the dinosaurs. It's been many times it's been hit. And in fact, this comet shower that we go through every year, 31-kilometer, 19-mile wide meteorite crater discovered under a kilometer of Greenland ice had long puzzled scientists. The Hiawatha crater was exceptionally well preserved despite glacier ice being incredibly effective at erosion. That's interesting. Damn, that's big. 19 miles, is that what it said? Yeah, there's a ton of those, man. They're all over the world. There's a big one that's outside of Australia that they found. Giant craters where it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. So this guy, along with this guy named Graham Hancock, who's also been on the podcast many times, he's a good friend of mine. He has a documentary called Ancient Catastrophe. Is that it? It's not Apocalypse, right? Ancient Apocalypse. I always fuck those up. Ancient Apocalypse, that's on Netflix. It's amazing. And it's all talking about like these insane structures that people built in Africa, in Asia, all over the world, in Turkey. These insane structures that predate modern civilization. These are like 5,000 years before we think Mesopotamia emerged. Huge stone columns, huge structures that they know for sure were 11,000 years old.
Yeah.
The show's amazing. It's an amazing show.
I think I watched this.
It's really good. And it's, he only touches the surface because there's so many of these all over the world. And Egypt is the best example.